We're talking crawl space encapsulation, what your builder gave you, and then what we give you. And we're doing that right now. Hey, Robert Kiefer here with HydroHero, and if this is your first time watching our channel, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to stay up to date on all of our awesome crawl space videos. So let's go ahead and get into this next one. Okay, so in this customer's house, this was already encapsulated when we started, and the drainage around the exterior was actually done really well. And I don't think I have too many pictures, but all this slopes away a lot, especially in the backyard and the sides. And there's a swale over on this side, and there's a swale over here. And all of it is just a really good job when you're talking about exterior drainage. So this is the crawl space job that got done by the builder. It's very common in our area, and I imagine it's like this for most areas. The insulation company did what they call the conditioned crawl space, a little bit different than an encapsulated crawl space most of the time, where they use the HVAC system to try to control the relative humidity and keep that below 60%. 60% is that magical number that if it gets below that, then you can start having mold growth on the floor, or if it's above 60%. You can start getting microbial growth or mold growth on your floor. And if that goes over 20% moisture content in the wood, you can start getting wood decay fungi like white rot, brown rot, dry rot, wet rot, all that good stuff. So anyways, here is a basic like 6 to 8 mil vapor barrier that they have. So they install the rigid foam board. This is XPS, extruded polystyrene. And they put this on the foundation wall all the way up to the termite shield, right to the sill plate. So there's no termite inspection gap. So the reason we got called in this job is the termite inspection company that we do a lot of work with was called out to do a termite treatment. They came down here, saw there's no inspection gap, said that this needs to be cut out. They need at least 3 inches to inspect and warranty the project, and they can't have it like this. So there was also a host of other problems with the encapsulation and stuff that needed to be fixed. So again, as you can see, you really need a good inspection gap. Again, minimum 3 inches in a lot of areas. Here in the mid-Atlantic, it seems to be that way. Down in our Charleston location, they like to see, I believe, 12 inches, 8 to 12 inches is what they really like to see there. So, but anyways, the vapor barriers, you can see, this doesn't look so pretty, but it's not staying on the wall. And the reason is that they use this butyl tape. It's a double-sided black tape that was actually made for the roofing industry. And they put that on the foam board, and then they stick this cheap reinforced vapor barrier on there, and it holds usually by the time that you purchase the house, and then it starts falling off. You can see it's really drooping off the walls, and the adhesive's actually stuck to the back of the vapor barrier but not stuck to the board here anymore. So this takes a good amount of time to go around and fix that, but there's drainage issues that we'll cover here as well. The other thing I want to point out is this dehumidifier, though it's properly sized and is controlling the relative humidity in this crawl space, it's not in a very good location. The way that it's pulling in the air and exhausting, it's right next to the wall. And this needs to be pulled out further, and then there's nothing ducting it from one side to the other. So the sensor inside of it, when it tests that air, it tests the air immediately around it. Well, if it's dehumidifying around it and then coming outwards to the rest of the crawl space, then this is going to short cycle. It's going to have a short lifespan, and this is the 3rd or 4th replacement in like 3 years for this customer. This has just been an absolute dread for this customer, and he said, please don't put that model back in. please put one of those April airs that we see in your videos all the time and get that in there, control in there. We'll cover that a little bit later on. So once we pulled the vapor barrier back in our initial inspection, we looked at the drainage, and they did have a decent basin in there, and the pump was working. It needs to be cleaned out. There's no good maintenance being done to it. There was only one pipe coming in, and that was from the exterior. They did the footer drain tile on the exterior perimeter of this house, and then had it punched through. Now, we really like it on the negative side, which is the interior of crawl spaces and not the exterior. If you have a problem with it, you got patios, hardscapes in the way, walkways, all kinds of different things, shower stalls and decorative places that surround trash cans in our area and stuff like that would all have to come out for us to get to it. Where in a dirt crawl space on the interior, which we call the negative side, you pull back the vapor barrier and it's exposed and you can address whatever. So that's what we like to see there. So here is the insulation. The only thing that we don't care for is spray foam insulation, whether they used EPS, XPS, or some other rigid foam board or batt insulation. We're okay with that. And some companies aren't. We are. From a moisture control aspect, you can pull this back. You can look and see if there's any mold growth or anything of that nature there. You spray foam this and you don't see anything until there's major rot there. So that's just one of the reasons. And there's all kinds of issues with exposure to improper chemical reactions that happen when you use spray foam in the rim band. We're big time not fans of spray foam. So there's no R value if this insulation isn't properly set in here. And you can see they just did a very lazy job. This is because, just cheap subcontractors are hired to do these new houses so they can keep the profit margins up as high as possible. So they pay the least qualified people pretty much to do this type of work. So here again, you can see the vapor barriers off the wall. So anytime that the moisture, try to reach its equilibrium and evaporates out of the soil, comes right up through here into the crawl space and then eventually causes mold growth. And you can see that an encapsulated crawl space should be clean and beautiful and healthy. Does this look like a clean, beautiful, healthy space? I don't think so. We'll go through some more here. We had put a moisture monitor system in here, and we just put that in prior to, so we can check the conditions of what this crawl space was like before and after we started. So we just got that temporarily hanging there, and you'll see all that as we go through here. So vapor barrier doesn't go all the way up the wall, no termite inspection gap there, but sealed for the most part, pretty decent. Just aesthetically doesn't look all that great either. And you can see all the wrinkles and everything. Nothing's pulled tight or anything of that nature. So not when you think of a encapsulated crawl space, hopefully you think of something that is beautiful and bright and not dark, dirty, and dingy. And that's not what you get with the way this is being done. Again, all this has to be pulled back so the termite treatment can be done. And that's what the termite company requested we do for them. Again, this is all falling off and just a bad location for your dehumidifier. You can also see that most companies are putting their dehumidifiers either on concrete blocks, cinder blocks of some sort, boxes, pieces of foam that are packed in with a dehumidifier. We don't do any of that stuff. We actually put them on nice stands and nice trays, and you'll see that as well as we move forward. Again, just more vapor barrier falling off the wall, not doing its job. It's kind of pointless. Over here in this access well, this drain that they installed. Now this is a good size access well, and they put the drain in, which goes to the sump pump, which is good, but they didn't really take any time to make sure that it's level when it moved around or anything. So, and they made sure that, or they didn't make sure that it was recessed in the ground. So the water has to go extremely high before it makes it into this. Now, if this was flat, level, and recessed, Anytime you get a little bit of water in, it'll go right into the drain system, to the sub pump, and then exited back out the building envelope, and that's what you really want. This is us going in. This was on the original inspection here as well. We're pulling this back here, checking out what they had here. Now, what they had, to our surprise, was they had a lot of gravel. Now, usually you get a little bit of gravel through here. This whole crawl space has about 1 foot to 2 feet of aggregate stone all the way through. So it acts as a really, really good drainage on top of the proper sloping that they have away from the building envelope, and then the exterior footer drain tile that they put in as well. So we didn't put any interior drain tile around this one. There was never a flooding issue, and we don't believe there will ever be a bulk water flooding issue from this one, because it was done properly on the exterior. And then you just have also multiple layers of aggregate here that are helping all that much more. So really good waterproofing or dewatering system implemented from the beginning of this building. So that's one thing we can definitely say they did right. Pulling it all back here and just see more of the aggregate, just making sure. Now this pipe, we're not sure what was going on here, but you can see this completely clogged with stone. We cleared all this out and corrected the pipe. I don't remember exactly where the technicians found that this was supposed to go to, but they fixed it all. But you could see water wasn't getting to where it needed to the sub pump. I think this might have actually was originally meant to connect to that drain you saw in the access well, and that's what they had to rehook up, if memory serves me proper. This is us digging to make sure there was no interior footer drain tile. We dug all the way down. Definitely wasn't. It was on the exterior, and we just needed to confirm that. Here's that pipe. And again, they had the drain pipe coming and sitting on top of the aggregate, where this should be underneath the aggregate and aggregate over top of it. They were too lazy to dig it, so they had it running up, which defeats gravity and all that stuff, and then just threw the vapor barrier over top of it, because again, the installers are lazy or untrained in the proper way to waterproof and encapsulate a crawl space. Here's a little bit of drainage that was properly put underground, but there's no DOT soil separator fabric. You want to make sure that that is around the system. You want the DOT approved soil separator fabric in the trench, then the pipe, and then the aggregate around and on top of it, and then fold those both over and pin them all the way down. And that's the best type of drainage system you can get. We'll cover that in a different video. So we want to make sure that there is aggregate around the basin. So many times we run into where it's just the dirt, but as you can see, there's no perforations here. So this basin had to be pulled out, and we put a much better sub pump basin in that has perforation holes in there, so the water around it can seep into the basin and then be pumped out properly. More of us checking everything because we went through. Not the greatest HVAC. I'm sure we'll have some HVAC guys that watch this video. The first thing they're going to point out is that the HVAC system is not all that great. They're really not a fan of these flex ducts, it seems, and really want hard sheet metal going everywhere. But that's what happens in the builder base grade homes, at least in our area. They use a lot of flex duct. Yep, again, you can just see the vapor barrier falling off the wall. This is us pulling everything back. This all had to be sealed because you have drainage from the outside and come right through here and wash down in and flood out this crawl space. That wasn't sealed up properly, and we took care of that from the exterior after we pulled all this out. So again, doesn't look like the greatest crawl space encapsulation. I'm sure you can see, and especially if you watched our videos, you know that this is would be an unacceptable job for HydroHero. But they got a light. As you can see, we'll take care of the lighting system as well. Now this is us starting the project. What we were able to save is the rigid foam board. We pulled out all the plastic. As you can see, there is all that gravel I was telling you about. So excellent drainage system. This is a huge, crazy drainage line from the condensate pump. We actually eliminated that and put that on a little condensate pump back here, and then pumped that to the sub pump and took care of this ugly problem. A lot of HVAC and plumbing people will want to use a gravity-fed PVC line to the sub pump. I am also a fan of that. This was just too long of run and just made the space not as accessible for your different technicians that would come in here to do work and everything else. So we thought a sub pump would be a much better, or not a sub pump, but a condensate pump would be a much better option, and pump this over to the sub pump. So that's what we did on that particular one. But as you can see, we put our string lights all up in here, made sure this place is nice and lit and bright. And this costs a lot of money to put these string lights up. But we put them in all of our projects. They just have to be in our encapsulations. We want to make sure maintenance for HVAC, plumbers, repair people, the homeowners, anybody who's going down here is always going to be able to see really well what they're doing, and it's going to be a nice space and not going to be something that they fear going in. So just move forward here. Again, we ended up having to cut all this insulation board all the way around here and make sure there was a nice termite inspection gap for that pest control company. So we just moved through this. This is all before we started cutting the termite inspection gap. This is us basically putting up all the lights and making sure it was cleared out. Now, hopefully we'll see some of those because this is blocking it. We'll show you the termite inspection gap. We put in the dehumidifier, and this has all been completely sealed now with our HydroSeal vapor barrier. As you can see, the walls are completely sealed. The braces, jack stands, I'm losing the word that I'm looking for here. These poles are all been sealed at the bottom as well. This is a 180 mil HydroSeal vapor barrier that we got down on the ground there. This is our custom pan. This is not a drain pan. This is more of a capture pan. So if this condensate pump, if you watched our other videos, if this thing fails, it's going to hit a sensor that we have down in here. It's going to alert us by email and text message that the condensate pump failed, and this will keep the water from traveling in all different directions, making for a bigger cleanup when our guys come out. And that doesn't happen very often, but we want to make sure if it ever does, it stays within that pan and just keeps the place nice and clean. And here's that inspection gap we were talking about. So we got the rigid foam board behind the vapor barrier. We have a lot of people ask, well, where is it insulated? You can't see it because we run the vapor barrier all the way to the top of the foam board, but the foam board's on the wall on this one, that 2-inch XPS foam board. And again, you can see it's all lit up nice. We left the bat insulation in the rim band there. We just fixed it, and that's a lot of overage that they had there. But here's the HydroSeal vapor barrier, smooth as can be, everything sealed up, nothing able to escape and cause wood decay fungi from growing on the crawl space floor joists. These this OSB that these floor joists are made out of, it's a bunch of chips of wood that have all been glued together. And if the humidity raises in this type of crawl space construction, all the nutrients that are in the adhesive act as a food buffet for mold growth. So you get the worst mold growth in these type of I-beam constructions, or these TJIs. So that is, if you don't have to get this, don't. From a moisture control standpoint, you want regular floor joists. So here is the dehumidifier that we replaced. This is the AprilAire 1850. This is our major workhorse and what we think is the absolute hands down best dehumidifier on the market. I am no way getting paid by AprilAire. It is, we've been through other manufacturers, dehumidifiers, and we won't name them, very well known ones. They have failed time and time and time again. AprilAire, very, very little problems. I think we've had 2, maybe 3 out of all the dehumidifiers that we've installed over the years. It was a very minor thing, quickly fixed, and they've been up and running. These have 5-year warranty. You can buy those directly from us, and we can have those shipped to you. You can pick them up in one of our offices if you happen to be in one of those locations. Hit us up in the comments below if you would like a quote on an AprilAire 1850, 1820, or any other type of AprilAire dehumidifiers. But here's that pan, and we haven't put the sensor up here yet, but that sensor will have a string that runs right down next to this. And this condensate pump, again, if it leaks, it'll hit that and alert us. And as always, we duct our hot and dry air to the other side of the crawl space so it doesn't cause any short cycling of the dehumidifier and balances out the drying system. So as you can see, this is a much, much better install than having it up on blocks or pieces of foam or some scrap that was lying around that you're seeing these other companies do. You're paying for us for a professional job, you're going to get a professional job. All you other crawl space encapsulation guys, if you're not doing this, you need to do this. You need to up that game and give your customers the best install possible. Here is our final work. It's just another beautiful install. You guys can see how this dehumidifier looks and how this hot dry air is getting transferred to the other side of the crawl space. It goes down here and then kicks over into that other side. But absolutely great install of the HydroSeal vapor barrier. We're keeping this crawl space currently, it seems to be about 40 to 45%. We set at 45%. This one stays particularly low. Yep. Just another beautiful shot of our AprilAire dehumidifiers. So if anybody from AprilAire is watching this video, make sure you share this. You know, I'm giving you guys a big shout out. So post that around Facebook and YouTube and everywhere else you guys might run into this. And here's that condensate pump. So we have that line just coming here, and see if you can go back here. This is where that big PVC line was coming all the way across here. We eliminated that, and if you look close here, you can see the condensate pump discharge line running right along here, and it goes to the sub pump. So now you have a much open, wide, clean, good-looking space than that what it looked like before. There's that condensate pump right there. So beautiful install, beautiful lighting, nice, clean, healthy. This is what good encapsulation looks like. Again, do you see any issues with this? I mean, outside of there's a lot of wires up here, but this is a fantastic crawl space encapsulation install. Our guys really, really did a phenomenal job. I don't think you're going to find many encapsulations that look as good as this particular one does. Here's where they were, the original company was trying to use the HVAC to help out as well, but that just ends up causing all kinds of problems, and we'll talk more about that in a different video. Again, just beautiful job. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Inspection gap. Everything sealed up properly. 12 inches of overlay on the vapor barrier underneath. If you don't know how far you should overlap in your DIY guy, you want at least 12 inches of overlap when you are installing the vapor barrier. Good 4-inch seam tape instead of 3-inch, in my opinion. Want to use 4-inch. More adhesive, the better. These are all seam welded underneath here, and we're going to start covering that in step-by-step videos that we do in the future, where we take you through an actual encapsulation and how you end up getting quality like this. So Again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss those videos. If you want to attempt to do crawl space encapsulation by yourself, make sure that you're definitely doing that. Well, looks like that's all I got for now. So, yes, thank you for watching. Hopefully you love this video. If you do or don't, put that down in the comments below. If you'd like to see different future videos, please let us know what kind of content you like. Be very specific. If you want to know how do you install the vapor barrier on the walls, or how do you wrap a column, how do you hook up a dehumidifier, what type of moisture monitoring system, whatever your questions are when it comes to crawl space encapsulation, we want to make videos that you guys love. So you make sure that our channel is fulfilling your needs. So again, I'm so thankful for everybody for watching this video and watching this channel. Just thank you so much. Everybody have an absolutely wonderful day.